Greetings and welcome to the United States Transhumanist Party Virtual Enlightenment Salon. My name is Gennady Stolyarov II, and I am the chairman of the US Transhumanist Party. Here we hold conversations with some of the world's leading thinkers in longevity, science, technology, philosophy, and politics. Like the philosophers of the Age of Enlightenment, we aim to connect every field of human endeavor and arrive at new insights to achieve longer lives, greater rationality, and the progress of our civilization. Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to our Virtual Enlightenment Salon of February 26th, 2023. Today, we have a fascinating conversation in store for you about advances in technologies that Nikola Tesla himself would have been proud of in the 21st century, as well as a concept for a smart city in Bangladesh. So joining us today, along with myself, Gennady Stolyarov II, the chairman of the US Transhumanist Party, are our officers, Ramon Garcia, our director of visual art, Jason Geringer, our legislative director, and our special guest for today is Dr. Sharif Uddin Ahmed Rana, who is also our director of foreign relations. But today he will talk to us about an effort that he is spearheading, the International Conference on Advances in Nikola Tesla Technologies in the 21st century. So, Sharif, thank you very much for joining us, and tell us more about this conference, because during our last virtual Enlightenment Salon, which took place in June of 2022, you introduced the idea of this conference, but now it's a lot further along, and there are some dates for this conference, July 17th through the 18th of 2023. So could you tell us more about that?
Thank you. First thing first, I want to give special thanks to Transhumanist Party. Especially a couple months ago, I have a COVID and I face a lot of challenge in Malaysia. Especially, I want to give thanks to Mr. Gennady, how you support me and for my family. You take care about me. That time I was in hospital, but you regularly communicate with my wife and take care about my health. And it gives some positive energy for my family. And then I come back and started work on Nikola Tesla Technology Conference, as well as uplifting the communities of Bangladesh and India. When we discuss about Nikola Tesla Technology Conference, you have to understand about the emerging economy, because while we are organizing these things, because Bangladesh is emerging economy, it's not developed like Singapore, or not like USA, or not like UK. Here we have around 160 million people, and our communities, I'm very honest with you, even though our Prime Minister of Bangladesh taking a lot of initiative, still they are not so advanced like this conference or this topic and everything. But what is the benefit when we focus on this kind of communities? I'm very happy that many important organizations like University Grand Commission of Bangladesh, like IIT, like Gujarat Chamber of Commerce, like Dhaka University, it is Oxford of these communities, like Ahsanullah universities, many important universities, they are very much interested to organize this conference. And I get a huge response from my communities, especially from the youth, those who are interested to join in this conference. Why I'm sharing these things? Try to understand, when you are working for a country like Singapore or USA or Germany, this is very easy task, because of they have long heritage of doing research and innovations. But if you focus on my communities, my universities and others, they are not performing well. But the good point is that my communities and my youth communities, especially, they get a new opportunities to share their views, to understand the Nikola Tesla, to understand the new things. It's very hard. It's not easy. Very hard. Because every month I have to travel around 3,000 kilometers. I have to engage with the grassroots level peoples. I have to engage with the young peoples. I have to convince them that you can do it, because people has lack of confidence. That is the fact. Because For them, oh my God, Tesla is a very big thing. How can I write a research paper? How can I do research on the topics? This is very new. Even for the university, this is very new. So I want to invite you all, specifically from the Transhumanist Party, because you know 3 years before I developed World Talent Economy Forum, from the day one until today, I get lot of support from Transhumanist Party. And you know that our major focus is emerging economy, and I'm sure that if we are successful in these communities, you can uplift many Bangladeshi, Indian, or other countries' people, and this way you can integrate it with modern science, engineering, and technology. And I know that Transhumanist Party has that kind of objective. Especially, I'm impressed by your work. I'm impressed by Transhumanist Party's leadership. I'm impressed by your transparency. So this is the major concern for me. That's why I want to collaborate every time, and I want to work for Transhumanist Party. I just want to focus on a few interesting things, because I think all of our audience, specifically from the Transhumanist Party, they know more about Nikola Tesla technology. But what we are offering, we invite paper which are focused on inventions of Nikola Tesla. This may be review article or applied or theoretical article about technology developed in 21st century based on Tesla invention. Beside that, in my team, I want to give a special thanks Professor Adrian David Chiok. He support us a lot. David Levy, he's also here with us. So we three people and a lot of scientists from around the world, they are joining in our team. So the topics we are covering: advanced power semiconductor, analog and digital signal process, automation, circuit and system, control, electric power generation, electric vehicle technology, electric engineering, electric machine and adjustable speed, drive, electronic measurement, electronic power system, electrical and electronics engineering, electronic embedded, energy harvesting, fundamental of the smart grid, technology, high voltage, hydrogen and fuel cells, microwave circuit, mobile computings, power electronics, renewable energy, applications, distributions, power transmission and distributions, energy, renewable energy source, smart grid, which is very, very important for emerging economy, technology and applications, solar thermal application, system protection and conservation, wind and water-based energy generation, lot of innovations. You know that Nikola Tesla has 307 innovations. We focus on that particular area, and we are inviting all of the researchers. Already 25,000 scientists from around the world, they are supporting this Nikola Tesla Technology Conference. And specifically, I want to give very, very big thanks Transhumanist Party as World Talent Economy Forums. For this conference, we are working with Bangladesh Prime Minister Office, especially it called BEZA, Bangladesh Economic Zone, BIDA, Bangladesh Investment Development Authority, Gujarat Chamber of Commerce. We also developed B Lab with Japan. 750 Japanese corporation, they are supporting our initiative, and they also join in our ecosystem to uplifting our community. So what is the vision of Transhumanist Party with modern science, engineering, and technology to uplifting the community? I am actually fulfilling your wish, your vision, your objective in a proper way. Beside online initiative, we have offline activities. We are working very hard. We have around 500 people right now in our team, those who work as an entrepreneurs in our teams. And this conference, the full paper submission deadline is 15 March 2023. And we will start our conference 17 July 2023 and 18 July 2023. So those who are interested to submit your research paper on Nikola Tesla, you can submit. Beside that, we are focusing on more action. Action means the innovations can help to uplifting our community. Those who have innovations under this Nikola Tesla Technology Conference, they can join with us, they can engage with us. Beside that, many impact investment corporation like Swiss Impact Investment, World Bank, Asian Development Bank, Islamic Development Bank, many organizations, they are also supporting our ecosystem. So they can share their innovations, and we can help each other to grow their startup. So this conference, definitely it's a research paper is important, but we do more focus on action. we do focus on developing the communities. That's why we choose 5 different cities in Bangladesh and India. From India, Ahmedabad, we are working closely with them to develop their cities. Beside that, in Bangladesh, you know that Lakshmipur, Chittagong, Mireshwarai, this is one of the important place. Sylhet, as well as Faridpur and Gopalganj. This area actually our Honorable Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina born. We are developing cities where all of our innovations, where all of our activities can integrated, and we can help around 10 million people with this conference. So hopefully this kind of initiative can be helpful for transhumanist communities. I know you have many innovations. You have many innovators, scientists working in between your communities. My things is that if you can contribute for the emerging economy, maybe you will not get huge amount of money. Maybe you will not get many more support. But that's for I'm sure developing a community, helping people and uplifting community is much more bigger than financial values or winning Nobel Prize. So I know this is very difficult because we are working very hard with our community. But I'm sure the transhumanist community, the scientists, the people, those who join in our community, in our scientific community, and support our ecosystem, they will be part of the history. Maybe after 100 years, my community's people and this world gonna recognize your contribution. Thank you, Mr. Gennady, to give me these opportunities, and I want to contribute more through my work for Transhumanist Party.
Thank you very much, Sharif, for that overview of the forthcoming conference, Advances in Nikola Tesla Technologies in the 21st Century. Now, based on my understanding, this is a conference that will focus on applying the ideas of Nikola Tesla and developing the domains in which he worked, of which you enumerated many, going forward into our century and perhaps even beyond, and asking for researchers to submit papers in any of these areas regarding how these technologies can be developed and applied. I would like to go into a bit more detail with you about who is eligible to participate in this conference and how they would go about doing that, and what some of the means of participation would be. For instance, on the website, it states that this is an online conference, a fully fledged online conference with an on-site possibility. So could you please discuss to a greater extent who is eligible to participate, how they would go about signing up, and what the options are in terms of online versus in-person participation?
Thank you, Mr. Gandhi. First thing first, this Nikola Tesla technology, we are getting fully support by EAI, European Alliance of Innovations. They are the partners of European Union, and European Union has a lot of contribution, country like Bangladesh, India, and Pakistan. This conference, anybody can join. The scientists, those who have a research paper, those who innovating some technology or uplifting some technology of Nikola Tesla, they can join. This is 100% online, and we try to make 100% free because we are getting support by European Alliance of Innovations. So those who have the ability to write good research paper on these topics, they can join. They can do online registrations. Two options: they can come to Dhaka, because offline we will organize it with Hasanullah University, as well as anyone can join in online conference. This is very open. I told you we do more focus on action. We want to welcome all of the startup, those who have this kind of innovations, and definitely any universities, any researchers, any political leaders, anyone can participate. Only need one thing: those who want to contribute for emerging economy, because contribution is much more important for us. Yes, they can come, they can join, they can publish papers. We will publish it in iOS Press and Springer or IEEE. This is the basic thing they can work, but we want some contributors who want to develop their leaderships with some real-time actions. So that's all. That's for all from our side.
Yes, thank you very much, Sharif, for that explanation. And just so that I can confirm this, did you say that registration for the conference is free because you have a sponsorship for people who would be registering?
Yes, yes. Sure, 100% free. We make it 100% free because we are not looking for too much of money. We only focus on contribution. So, I specifically, if you visit country like Bangladesh or India, you can find many talented people. They cannot participate this kind of conference. So, we ensure that everybody can join. Yeah.
Yes, very good. That does lower the barriers to entry, and hopefully it will maximize participation. Now, Jason Geringer is wondering, how does the process of submitting the papers work? How would one go about essentially sending a paper to the conference organizers? And another question on my part would be, what if somebody is not personally a researcher, but is interested in the research that is out there and is interested in finding out about the works of others? Would somebody who doesn't have a paper to submit him or herself, but who's interested in the research of others, be able to attend this conference?
Okay, there is a paper submission procedures. Anybody can come and they can submit. There is the instructions you can find, submission guidelines. There is a how do I submit paper in Confi. You can get the guidelines. Everything is clear, so anybody can come and they can proceed. And we have a peer review process. So from this process, they will finalize the paper. But definitely, in between 15 March, they have to submit their research paper. At least if they send their abstract to our team, then maybe we can extend some date. Those who are not a researcher but they have a keen interest to join in the conference, welcome. Only thing, take some action. Do some work with us. Because I always say that if smart people and hungry people they work together, they can contribute more. This is not only a conference. This is try to understand for a Bangladeshi students, it's a dream. For a Bangladeshi researcher, it's a dream because they never have a clear visions or clear understanding about Tesla contribution for these communities. Example, last week I visit Bikash. Bikash is world largest mobile money transferring companies, which is invented by the MIT graduate Kamal Kadir. Even though in their office, when I discuss about the Nikola Tesla, I find that employee do not have clear vision and understanding about Nikola Tesla. They're highly educated people in Bangladesh and they are leading one of the largest corporations. But good point is that these are the corporations, those who have the huge experience for contributing Bangladesh community, they are joining in our conference or joining in our activities. If I ask Mr. Gennady one thing, what is the major problem right now in this world? Do you have any answer?
I have an answer. The major problem
Yes.
in this world is death. Of course, that's the greatest problem. A lot of
Okay.
other causes contribute to this problem, but ultimately, that is the greatest problem that we in the Transhumanist Party are trying to solve.
Excellent. You want to solve this problem in India and Bangladesh? You want to help my community?
We want to solve it everywhere in the world, and that includes India and Bangladesh.
Excellent. Let's join in our conference and help our communities. You can find many hospitals, research centers, or universities who love to collaborate with Transhumanist Party. From my perspective, the major problem of this world is good leadership. Good leadership. We need a good leader like you. We need good leaders from Transhumanist Party. For me, if you ask me what I learned last 3 years from World Talent Economy Forum, specifically when I work, because every month I have to visit many grassroots level people. I'm meeting with many people and try to understand these things. The 3 years I learned leadership is something not for you, not for me. Leadership actually investing on others people growth. What you are trying to do, you are trying to help people solve their healthcare problems and everything. But if you see around the world, that is the problem. Our leaders, our political leaders, our social leaders, our academic leaders, our business leaders, they only think about themselves. They are not investing on growth of other people. So this Nikola Tesla technology actually investing on the growth of other people. So only we need good leaders who love to invest his or her time and everything to the growth of other people. I think this is the missing concept around the world. That's why we are observing this war. Last day we organized a session on food crisis. Food crisis become a major problem around Bangladesh or India or Pakistan. Price inflations become very big problem. Unemployment become very big problem. Obviously, healthcare is a very big problem. But who gonna solve it? If we think only about money and profit and money, we cannot do that. So we need a visionary people. So this conference is a process. This conference is a collaborations with the people, those who have vision to become a good leader.
Yes, and Jason noted in our internal chat that Nikola Tesla actually exemplifies this vision because he gave away the patents to his technologies and he did not seek to become personally enriched by them. He sought to improve the world. So, a related question from Jason is, are there going to be any projects arising out of this conference where someone builds something, someone develops a technology that can transform the world for the better?
Excellent question. I shared already about this Lakshmipur, right? The Lakshmipur is a specific district for your audience. It's very new. It's a very small city. And example, they have a problem with energy. They have water related problem. They have agricultural problem. So we are solving. So if someone has innovations for green technology, like what actually Nikola Tesla have the concept and the research, you can uplift this concept and everything, and we can help you to execute your project in Lakshmipur. So any real-time work, we want to welcome. We have people, we have hungry people, those who need solutions. So anybody can join and anybody can participate. It's very much action oriented. We are developing a platform, we are developing an ecosystem, and we are working with it's called BESA under Prime Minister Office of Bangladesh. We are developing private economic zones and the smart city concepts, and we already done our feasibility study. So anybody can join and participate with our team.
Yes, so we have branched into the smart city concept that you wanted to discuss, and this is Lakshmipur District in Bangladesh. We have linked here to a Wikipedia entry about it. It is a district with an area of 1,455.96 square kilometers. It is bordered by Chandpur to the north and Pola and Noakhali districts to the south. And it consists of a lot of population. In 2011, the population was about 1.729 million. You said the population is about 2 million now, correct?
Yes, yes.
What else can you tell us about this district and the quality of life there at present, the challenges that people are facing, and what you're trying to do?
Before I join in these communities, they don't have any master plan. They don't have a good healthcare system. They don't have proper energy system. Actually, if you compare like Singapore or the cities, I'm very honest with you, they don't have nothing. But why I choose this city? Because of the politicians, they have positive intention. That's why I'm seeking support from Transhumanist Party, because political party can do many things if they want. Political party can develop policy. So we can integrate Transhumanist Party's policy to this area, and the peoples of this area can benefit through this policy. So if Mr. Gennady and any of the Transhumanist Party member visit Bangladesh or India, we can sit down together with politicians and implement it. So when I find they don't have nothing, but their political leaders or their business communities, they want to uplift the community, I think take it as an opportunity for World Talent Economy Forums. So we visit a lot in Bangladesh, and next month we have a very important tour in India. Around 1,500 entrepreneurs, they are collaborating with us. So me personally focus on good politicians, focus on good ecosystem. We want change in their ecosystem. So then we inviting lot of entrepreneurs, inviting policymaker like Transhumanist Party, inviting donor agencies who can contribute for these things, because my individual's strength is not enough. We need a lot of people to uplifting this community. So we are getting many good support from around the world. Especially I want to give special thanks to North America, because I find North Americans and Europeans as well as the Japanese investors has very good intentions to uplifting the communities. So Nikola Tesla actually creating a vision to my communities, how to enhance the capacity of the research centers, the universities, and this kind of real-time projects actually help them to execute their idea, execute their startup and everything. So any specific person who want to be a good leaders and who want to invest on the other people growth, maybe this is not a good idea for a capitalist society. But I believe if you want to be a contributor, definitely you have to invest on other people growth, then you can be successful. And if you see the Mahatma Gandhi to all of the great leaders, they actually investing their time, their energy, their monies for everything for the human progressions. And I believe definitely Mr. Gennady and all of the party members, they are different. They are not like the other politicians. They love to contribute. They are young. You people have the positive energy. So I'm sure you have a very good platform. You have a very good opportunity to engage with millions of people.
Yes, indeed. Well, thank you, Sharif. And certainly I hope that the Transhumanist Party will have multiple representatives in attendance at the Advances in Nikola Tesla in the 21st Century Conference, especially because attendance is free and it can be done virtually. So I would also encourage anyone watching this video to sign up for the conference and participate. And we're going to discuss the smart city concept in much greater depth during this salon. There are a few more questions about the conference that I would like to pose. Jason is wondering, are you going to be discussing the history of Nikola Tesla at all during the conference? Because Tesla has quite an interesting history, especially his interactions with Thomas Edison and the so-called War of the Currents, and Tesla's relations with Westinghouse and JP Morgan and all of those fascinating figures of the late 19th, early 20th century. So will there be a segment of the conference about the history? And here is a brief biography of Nikola Tesla on the website that addresses some of these areas. Would you anticipate some speakers at the conference who will delve more
Yeah,
into
yeah.
Tesla's history and activities?
Yeah, Professor Adrian David Chioks, who actually first time take this opportunity. I finished one of my PhD with this very famous scientist and very good scientist who want to contribute. So that time I shared the idea of World Talent Economy Forum. Then we are working together that how we can actually we work together in Malaysia. So we are planning that how we can execute the good works. So he also very visionary man. So he will present the Tesla life story and everything. Already BBC supporting these projects, and already in the BBC you can find that they come up with the life histories and innovations and everything. Professor Adrian David Chiog also part of this conference and part of this BBC documentary. We are actually sharing everything. And in this conference, Professor Adrian David Chiog actually share all of the ideas and the thoughts of Nikola Tesla. Beside that, we have many good keynote speakers. Definitely, Mr. Gennady, I want you as a keynote speakers. Dr. Talib Rafael from Prime Minister Office of Bangladesh, any high-profile politician gonna joins. Beside that, Professor Fred Philip, who is visiting Bangladesh next month. Many famous speakers actually join. So definitely, we will share a lot of views and everything. And through this process, Nikola Tesla real life actually share with a lot of communities. Example, today we have a very, very special conference with Bikash, and 2,000 Bangladeshi students are joining, and they will learn about Nikola Tesla and his activities. We are developing case studies. Also, we are sharing the case study with our communities. It's completely action oriented conference, not only the coming and joining and submitting paper and finishing these things. It's more like social revolutions. It's more like engagement with the people and changing human life.
Well, this is excellent. Thank you, Sharif. And first of all, I would be happy to give a keynote speech during the conference, and it will be heavily Nikola Tesla inspired. So I hope that we can make this happen. Jason says that he would like to see Tesla's wireless energy system built. Do you know if any of the researchers in attendance at the conference have any plans to pursue that kind of system?
Yeah. Yeah, actually, from European Union, we find few researchers, those who work as a team to solving this problem. I told you around 25,000 scientists, 750 Japanese corporations and worldwide corporations they are joining. Many of them actually working to solving or uplifting or generating the new ideas of Nikola Tesla. You can find a lot of innovations and lot of interesting things, and that's why we developed B Lab in Dhaka, so we can develop the real-time action. So we are working for things, and if any transhumanist parties members who have any innovations or uplifting innovations or joining in our teams, I want to welcome Mr. Ramon. Jason is a very good friend. Always he guide me. Thank you, Mr. Jason. And anyone has a good thing, just join and work with us.
Yes, wonderful. Thank you, Sharif. And Jason has another question related to a subject that you mentioned. You said, Sharif, that Bangladesh is not a wealthy country like Singapore is. And Singapore is, of course, one of the most prosperous and technologically advanced countries in the world. It could be said that Singapore has a technocracy of sorts where technical experts are often involved in high level governance decisions. So I'm wondering, what is your impression of the prevailing thinking about Singapore in Bangladesh and India? What do people there think of this kind of society? And what do some of the researchers who are likely to be in attendance at your conference think about Singapore and the economic and technological model of that kind of city state, essentially?
Thank you. We are developing new idea and new thoughts. Example, yes, your concept of smart city is good, but when I try to execute it, I have to follow our prime minister procedures because Bangladesh has a lot of villages. So what I can do, example, Lakshmipur, it's a village, it's not Singapore. So we have to develop smart village, right? So we are developing this concept. Definitely, we are doing more research and engage with these things. Long time as I live in Malaysia and Singapore region, still I'm working with Singapore like NUS and some important universities and institutions. So I can understand Singapore in a proper way. Singapore definitely very successful place. If you see the GDP growth, definitely Bangladesh is huge community compared to Singapore and Malaysia. Fact is that our GDP is bigger than Singapore and Malaysia. That is the reality. It's around $459 billion GDPs per year. Singapore or Malaysia is around $300 billion. Bangladesh has a lot of economic prospect, economic opportunity. We have garments industries. We are number one in garments industry. We have a lot of manufacturing. We have a new manufacturing hub actually developing in Bangladesh. But if you see our strategy last 50 years, I told you my father was a freedom fighter. Actually, as we are not advanced like Singapore, but thanks is that you have to understand Singapore is a very small city like compared to Bangladesh, very small community. Execute anything in Singapore is very easy compared to Bangladesh, Pakistan, and India or this type of country. You have to do a lot of hard work. But I want to give special thanks to our Honorable Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina. I'm sure if you visit Singapore and Malaysia, and now you visit Bangladesh, you will be impressed by a lot of achievement of Bangladesh. Let's say recently we introduced metro rail. City like Dhaka, introducing metro rail is very difficult, very hard jobs because it's a highly density populated country. Example, if you compare Malaysia and Bangladesh populations, it's a fifth time bigger than Malaysia. It's a 10 times bigger than Singapore and everything. So executing any idea or thoughts is very difficult in Bangladesh. But how our Honorable Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina taking different challenges and solving different unique problem and executing different mega project, I impressed. And I definitely want to give very big thanks to our Honorable Prime Ministers because I can remember in my childhood we don't have electricity, we don't have proper waters, we don't have proper healthcare, we don't have proper educations. But now, last 10 years, Bangladesh is improving. That can be a good model for the global community. Singapore has very good model, but you have to understand that executing any idea and thought, implementing in Singapore is very easy. I'm sorry, like you could not find these things in Bangladesh, but if you go to Singapore, you find many old age people like 70, 75 years old, they are working in the restaurant. You do not find it in Bangladesh. Our one good point Bangladesh has, if you see that East Bengal and West Bengal, like India and Bangladesh, we have around 300 million people who speak in one language. It's Bangla. And it's the fifth largest community around the world, fifth largest communities. But if you go to Singapore, in a small country, you find four or five different languages. So it's difficult to communicate and make a collaborations and everything some point. But they are very progressive, they achieve it. But what I'm trying to do in Bangladesh, like East Bengal and West Bengal, I'm just uplifting the community, making more relationship, building a good communities. But our branding is not good like Singapore. Singapore make a global branding, so everybody think Singapore, Singapore, Singapore. So everybody think it's a very successful cities or the country. Bangladesh is not, but Bangladesh progress is also important. If you come, maybe you can learn different things. Another important things some point I do some jokes with my professor from Singapore. I said hey there are many Bangladeshi workers, they are doing work in Singapore. I said yes, that is good. There are many Bangladeshi workers working the cleaning jobs and the construction job in Singapore and Malaysia. But we have a good things. We have many Nobel Prize winners like Dr. Muhammad Yunus, Rabindranath Tagore, Amartya Sen, Abhijit and Banerjee. But at some point I make a joke and say, hey, Singapore do not have. So intellectually we are much more advanced. So that is true. Trust me, this is true. Actually, Bangladeshi peoples, they are very hardworking. They love to change. They want to contribute. This is the one and only nations around the world for their language. They sacrificed their life in 1952 to 21st February. So this is the history. So we have many good things, but because of the peer, I always said the good things they cannot share with the global community. Maybe many people do not know much about this East Bengal and West Bengal, 300 million people. So we are trying to do so, and definitely I come to transhumanist parties. These things I want to share good things about Bangladesh. They are very helpful. Their mind and everything very soft. We find many people they are not money oriented, they really want to do spiritual things and contribute for the global community. So that is the difference. As I long time I stay in Singapore and Malaysian region, now I'm in this region, I can understand the difference. Yes, Singapore achieve a lot with better policy and everything, but Bangladesh is a big opportunities because you can execute your good policy, transhumanist party's policy, you can execute your innovations, you can invite more young and talented people because we have around 57% youth. So more than 80 million people in Bangladesh is youth. So you can engage with them and work together.
Yes, thank you, Sharif, for that overview of the differences between the situations of Singapore and Bangladesh. And indeed, the issue of scale is a significant one that you pointed out. According to the 2022 census figures that I could find on Wikipedia, the population estimate of Singapore is 5,637,000, whereas the 2022 census population figure for Bangladesh is 165,158,616. So that is an immense difference, and scaling, of course, becomes a challenge. If the Singapore model works for 5.637 million people, there's still a serious question of how to make that work for 165 plus million people. But this is where the concept of a smart city might come in, where essentially this Lakshmipur district has about 2 million people, and you could try a different economic model. You could try a different set of governance approaches as compared to the rest of the country and see what happens. And hopefully you could have even multiple such experiments within the country of Bangladesh and see which of these generate the kinds of outcomes that are most suitable in light of the circumstances of time and place, as the Austrian economist Friedrich Hayek would have called them, essentially the specific realities on the ground in Bangladesh. So do you foresee a rise in this kind of smart city experimentation or smart village experimentation that you mentioned? Because some residents of Bangladesh, many residents live in the rural areas, and that's not really the case in Singapore. So they might need some different approaches for them. But do you think you could have a lot of different jurisdictions in Bangladesh trying out many different approaches to see what works best?
Yes, this is very interesting questions. Actually, that is the reason we are organizing this research conference, and we are inviting a lot of corporations and researchers in our team. I want to invite Transhumanist Party scientists, like try to understand one of the major things of development based on local communities, right? They also have their knowledge, expertise, and long term in their community they survive. If you want to change everything overnight, you cannot. So, what we have to do, we have to develop a sustainable model for them. How we can do that? First thing first, what I see and I observe many big companies, they come to a specific country and try to change everything. This is bad approach. Definitely, and that's why many big companies fail. So, what we have to do, we actually have to utilize our local resources as much as possible, like financial parts, like natural parts, and like local community part. Let's say, example, in Lakshmipur, they have their own agro-based ecosystem. I cannot change everything overnight. I have to help them. I have to work with them. They are very good productions, different vegetables and everything. Should not change them. They have a river. I see in my childhood, let's say, many big company come and they introduce fish, but Bangladesh has a lot of different fish and it's very tasty. So I do not want to change whole ecosystem. Our concept is very simple: utilizing the local resources properly, as well as introducing the global technology and innovations in a proper way. What is good and what is bad. Example, let's say Tesla has innovation on green technology. Example, right the way I should not apply these things where actually in Lakshmipur I find that they produce 3 time crops and agricultural things whole years. I should not use this land. So I can use the rooftop, I can use the new technology, I can use the new things. Same thing, healthcare and educations. They have their own healthcare system or education system. Better merge with them those who are advanced. Let's say Transhumanist Party has advanced healthcare innovations. So your healthcare innovations should merge with Lakshmipur hospitals, and both of the team has to learn from each others and find out the solution which is applicable for the local community. That's why we are developing this smart village system. Right the way, if I bring whole Singapore and apply it in Lakshmipur, that will destroy our ecosystem. Example, that may create more problem. People will not engage with me because if people do not want change, I cannot do nothing. Okay, so that's why our concept is utilizing local resources in maximum way and inviting the global scientists and innovators, make a like proper fusion and develop the new communities. Definitely, it's both like local and international concept. We may work together. That's why I see many smart city concept and many important things is fail. But in a shorter period of time, as we have a better understanding, we learn from North America, we learn from Europe, we learn from Singapore, and we learn from our local grassroots level people. So if we can integrate all of the positive learning together, bring all of the positive leader together, then change will happen. So that's the area we are focusing.
Yes, thank you, Sharif, for that response. And now I would like to open this up to other questions from Art Ramon and Jason. Let's start with Art Ramon first, and then we'll go to Jason for any other questions he might have.
Yeah, doing a quick Google search of Bangladesh and just looking at images, I see that Bangladesh has a huge problem with flooding. And obviously, that's very disruptive to your economy and basically all life if you have a lot of flooding. And Tesla did invent the Tesla valve. So, how can you use a Tesla valve, which is a century-old invention that he created with no moving parts, to solve your flooding problem?
Okay, we are open. Not only for Tesla things, we will solve every problem. We are open for any good innovation and everything. Second things, that is the things. Always we work both in online and offline. Example, if you visit Lakshmipur, flood is not major issue right now in Bangladesh. It changed a lot. If you go to my social media posts, you can find the river and everything. Because our government take lot of initiative with London School of Economics. They are solving water related problem and flooding problem of many countries. Let's say last 2 3 years you cannot find a flood and this kind of things in Bangladesh. So that's why I always invite, if you want to learn, you have to visit the country. Yeah, I want to welcome you all in Bangladesh. We will give you all kind of support if you need. Let's say Professor Fred Philip from Tando, from Texas, he is visiting Bangladesh, and he will join as a keynote speaker in Dhaka University, as well as he visit many of our projects. So yes, we are open for any good idea. That is important. We are open for any good things. And Tesla is, how should I say, it's actually a positive visions, a positive influence over people. But if you have a different solutions and you want to solve Bangladesh problem, welcome.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Sharif, and we appreciate your openness to innovative solutions like the one that Art Ramon mentioned with the Tesla valve. Jason, do you have any questions?
Yeah, that Tesla valve, if it's the same thing I'm thinking of, that's like super interesting because it can pump, I heard up to like 80% solids. So, I mean, that could pump even mud. I'm wondering if you could hook up, they got these new, like 3D printers that print mud and, like straw mixture, and they just put it into this crane thing and it prints houses and stuff. I imagine that pump would probably work pretty good for that. There's a bunch of Tesla technologies that are awesome. I mean, he's really been overlooked all of this time. I mean, well, unless, there's no conspiracy theories that the government had all this stuff. What would you say is one of your, probably your favorite Tesla technology out of all of them?
Tesla has a lot of innovation. Even for the defense, we are working with Professor Adrian David Jobs. Like Tesla had invisible ray. We are also uplifting these things. Anyway, but if you focus right now in Bangladesh major problem is energy problem. So we are heavily introducing for transportations and energy related things in Bangladesh. So right now it's really helpful for my country, not only for my country, also for India. So we are heavily engaging with energy sectors with Tesla innovation.
Very good. Thank you, Sharif. And we are joined now by our Director of Technology Outreach, Anthony Nielsen. Of
Uh-oh.
course, our discussion during the past hour has been on applications of Nikola Tesla's technological discoveries. And I'm curious, from your perspective, Anthony, what are some of Tesla's ideas and innovations that are most promising in terms of their application going forward in the 21st century?
Most promising, huh? I mean, we've already achieved wireless technology. We've already, made rail guns thanks to Lawrence Livermore Labs. I know that a lot of his inventions were essentially taken by the government because as brilliant as he was very bad at protecting his intellectual property. And so a lot of these things have already been implemented by at least our government. I was just looking up the Tesla valve in terms of a valvular conduit with a fixed geometry that provides flow in one direction. You kind of put me on the spot here. I don't know what hasn't been implemented already, to be honest, because most of Tesla's inventions came out during the late 1800s, early 1900s, and then he died, I believe, sometime during
1943.
I was going to say, sometime before the end of one of the world wars. And so I really am at it.
We did wireless, but is it really, we haven't the whole world don't have free electricity like you wanted. So,
there's
I guess
that.
we didn't do that.
And of course we don't have that yet because as Edison told him, where are we going to put the meters?
Right. Can't put a meter on it.
Because and that's the thing. That's why I would say a lot of his technology, whatever hasn't been implemented, has not been implemented because there's not a way to put a meter on it and monitor, kilowatts per hour and monetize it. Because ultimately that was not Tesla's goal, was to monetize everything, but that was Edison's goal, and that's why we have Edison technology prevalent, because there's a way to monetize it, there's a way to monitor it, there's a way to collect that information and assign a $sign value to it. So I really, I'd have to do some digging to figure out what technology has not been developed yet and figure out what, all that stuff.
But of course, as transhumanists, we pursue sustainable superabundance. That's the vision for the future of humanity that we would like to attain. So if there were a way to get essentially free electricity to everybody in the world, that would be a massive boon, not just for those of us who have fairly sizable electrical bills today, and we do in the United States, but also for people in countries like Bangladesh, including rural Bangladesh, where there are villages that may only very recently have become electrified. Sharif spoke to us about the situation during his childhood and how a lot of the country did not have electricity then. And now, of course, there has been significant progress. But what if electricity could become essentially free and super abundant so that anybody in the world could get easy access to continuous electricity. Sharif, what do you think about this possibility? Do you think some of the ideas that will be shared at the upcoming conference will contribute toward that kind of outcome?
Excellent idea, Mr. Gennady. That I think that is the reason Transhumanist Party, World Talent Economy Forums, and everything happening. But question is that it's a political decision. This is not possible from the people's or the grassroots level people. So first thing first, I know that our honorable Prime Minister is very progressive. That's why she changed a lot. But we are open for this kind of dialogue, how we can make a free electricity for everyone. At least the pilot city, like pilot smart village, what we are developing right now. So we can welcome this kind of concept. So things is that everything we cannot change overnight. But if we implement as a pilot projects in a specific area, let's say it's change 10,000 people live, then we can move forward step by step. And definitely we can negotiate with the politician because this is a very big idea, but definitely it's a political decisions. So I believe that Transhumanist Party will be more strong. We can implement this kind of idea. That's why I'm bringing all of the people. So we can share your good idea, your good things, all of your good and positive activity. Besides this, I want to share one thing with Mr. Anthony because I think we do some discussion about hydrogen fuel. In Bangladesh, if you see that we have a lot of river, already Mr. Ramon shared that we have flood and everything. So we are strongly considered about hydrogen fuel. We are doing research in our B lab. So from Transhumanist Party, if Mr. Anthony want to contribute, I want to welcome him because maybe this is one of the possible area he or Transhumanist Party can contribute for developing things. But definitely you have to understand, I'm not a citizen of USA or Singapore. My people's ability is not so high. So first thing first, we do focus on decreasing the price. And if we can make it 100% free, that will be awesome. So Mr. Gennady, if you want to negotiate with our parliament members in Bangladesh, I want to invite you in Bangladesh regarding this point. And if you have any concept for free electricities, and if you want to implement in my pilot projects, I want to welcome you.
I'm interested in what concepts Tesla developed in terms of his vision for free electricity. And that is an area that I will try to explore in my keynote address in July. I think this is the kind of topic that would definitely be fitting with the theme of the conference. Now, in regard to a smart city or a smart village, what are the major changes, the major technological transformations that you see happening in those kinds of areas as compared to the rest of Bangladesh? And let me pose this question by way of a thought experiment. Suppose that you have approval for a smart city in the Lakshmipur District, and 5 years later, that area now looks different from what it was when you started. What are some of the differences? What are the major ways in which you expect it would be transformed as a result of the vision that you have in mind?
I did a lot of paperwork. I told you 500 people in my team. Regularly, we are working to uplifting the communities. First, when any areas specific development come, we do focus on construction, right? Let's say our people do not have enough housing. We provide affordable housing concept. Not only concept, help them to execute it. Already we are helping around 10,000 family to get this affordable housing. So in this construction process, two things is also very important. Number one, energy. I told you, we already mentioned these things. Number two, transportations, because we need to improve the transportation system. We have good technology as well as we have a good agencies who can support these things. So when we solve this kind of construction related projects, and specifically if you focus on this area, you see we have a river and connecting with the Bay of Bengal. So definitely we need a proper construction and support for this ecosystem. We are also working on that area. So when construction happen, like it's in better shape, with modern house, with modern engineering, like solar energy or hydrogen fuels, with modern hospital, school, college, then come we can invite more entrepreneurs. Like I know that Transhumanist Party has many entrepreneurs. So then entrepreneur comes. When construction change, then entrepreneur comes and they actually introduce different kind of software and solutions. That's why we are working with India. Next month, 27 and 28 March, I already invite to all of the Transhumanist Party members. So it's definitely B2B conference. So many software solutions company, they also come. And then maybe we invite them. And beside that, the innovator from the local ecosystem, what we call talent economists, so they are also contributing with our team. So we have 500 entrepreneurs in our team. We can invite 50 entrepreneurs from the global community. Definitely Transhumanist Party concept and everything important for us. Then as a team, we can execute this livable city concept and activities in these pilot projects, and we can make it successful.
Yes, thank you very much, Sharif. And it seems like the idea of this smart city or smart community is going to be elaborated upon in a more collaborative process. So it's not that you have a specific image in mind of what it's going to look like or what it's going to have, but you would like to solicit input from various individuals and groups such as the Transhumanist Party as to what the smart community will contain, what the governance mechanisms are going to be. Is that a correct understanding?
We have a very clear visions. Otherwise, I cannot make this public-private partnership. We are working closely with BESA and BIDA, like the Prime Minister Office. I have to promote my paperwork, like our feasibility study, which we done already. So those who are really interested, we have to sit together, maybe in Bangladesh or in USA, and we have to understand what's the idea or technology or innovation you have and how you can integrate it with my plan or our plan. But we have a very good professional team and we already done our feasibility study or pre-feasibility study. We done our master plan, and then we are welcoming our necessary partner. Otherwise, this kind of high level government collaboration is not possible, because Bangladesh had lot of improvement with World Bank, with Asian Development Bank, with JICA, with Islamic Development Banks. Right now, many big corporations inside Bangladesh. So they have a very big professional team. So we have to convince them, and they become convinced with our master plan and with our vision and everything. So now we are executing, we are taking action.
Thank you, Sharif, for that clarification. Now, in terms of the proposed master plan and the feasibility study, are these documents that are publicly available somewhere so that people could take a look and see what is in them and what some of the specific ideas are, the specific plans that have been put forth?
I have to follow government policy 100%. So if government allow me to make it public, I can, but still I do not make it public. But step by step, we have to do it with our engineer teams and with our innovators, with our investors. So we are open for any kind of good dialogues and meeting.
Okay, so perhaps at some later time it might be made public, but only after it has been cleared by the government of Bangladesh to be made public. Who else is involved in the project? Who is on your team?
This is actually public-private partnerships. So definitely Bangladesh government, we need all of their support. Then the private corporation, already many good corporations and the donor agencies, and they already join in our team, and we are working with them. Many innovators from USA, from Japan. I told you the B Lab, right? B Lab, only Japan is 750 companies, they are working for uplifting my communities. So in the B Lab, it's open. Who is the communities and the people? It's actually huge task, lot of activities, because when you're uplifting a big community, 2 million people is not, we have around 10 million people actually. 5 cities, 10 million people. So uplifting 10 million people actually very big task and lot of activities. So yeah, but definitely we want any professional team who want to join in our meeting.
Jason is interested in finding out more about B Lab. Could you tell us more about who they are and what their activities are?
B Lab, actually, I told you I'm working with Professor Ichiya Nakamura. He was professor of Stanford and MIT. Then he go back to Japan, and with the help of Japan government, they develop University, Innovation University, and this is one of the very very big innovations lab or university for Japan, because they are trying to developing $1 trillion economy through this process. They have 600 students, 600 companies. All of the students become entrepreneurs. They have more than 1200 faculty from around the world, and they have around 750 corporations who actually supporting this ecosystem. Let's say only they have one department, business and IT. So every students, when they finish their undergraduation, they will do their industrial work 6 months in these corporations, and after that, if they develop their idea and startup, they're going to pitch it, and they get all kind of support from these corporations. So when I was in Malaysia, I worked with Professor Ichiya Nakamura. He visited my office, and long term we work with the Malaysian ecosystem, especially with University Malaya Wales. Malaysia is a very good fan of Japanese concept and activities. Many policy of actually come from Japan in Malaysia. So he is a very very famous scientist. You can check Professor Ichiya Nakamura. So when I come to Bangladesh, Japan also very good friend of Bangladesh, especially their JICA. If you see our metro rail and many important projects actually done by the Japanese investment corporations. So they know our culture very well. Definitely, we have many good friends from USA, especially US Chamber of Commerce, US. You have the embassy in Bangladesh, US embassy and US Chamber of Commerce. We are working with them. And many American professors also work with this University. So we are implementing this B Lab in Bangladesh beside these things, because let's say many problem actually very complex. When you develop transportation system, it's very complex procedure for a 2 million people or a 10 million people. So that time definitely you cannot rely only on startup. You have to rely on big giant who can really help to finish the job. And we are planning through this process, example, only in transportations, around 18,000 people employed from the community, and they will get a very good amount of salary from this process. So we are not only developing a ecosystem, we are also creating more employment opportunities through BRILab in Bangladesh.
Yes, thank you for that explanation. You mentioned Professor Ichiya Nakamura as being an individual with whom you are collaborating. That is correct?
Yes, Ichiya Nakamura has a big team. He has a big team. I told you that he has maybe more than 1,200 professors in his team. They have a very big and 750 corporate. He's a very big innovators and entrepreneurs, and he actually helps to develop Japanese ICT policy and everything. Very nice person and very helpful. So when I was in Malaysia, he also meet with all of his team in Malaysia. We work together. So when I come to Bangladesh, I said this kind of challenge we have. He said, okay, let's organize B Lab Dhaka. So I organize it.
All right. Thank you, Sharif. And I'm curious, when it comes to actually building the smart city, like putting up the buildings, who is going to do that? What company? You mentioned a large corporation that you are collaborating with. What is that corporation, and will it be doing the actual building of the city?
We are very much open for tenders and everything. The government policy has proper tender policy and everything. We have partners like CMEC, XD, Tesla, and everything is our partners. But a fact is that we are following the policy of the government. So we have to go for open tenders. First thing first, we innovate the technology which is helpful for Bangladesh. Example, when we discuss about affordable housing, so affordable housing means for China one story building, for USA one story building, for Indonesia one story building. But Bangladesh is a very small country, right? So in this small country, what I have to do, I have to go for 10 to 15 story building. So we cannot do one story building and with a specific price. My people cannot afford, let's say, $200 per square meter. Maybe they can afford $10 per square meters. So we are doing now, we are helping. Example, I invite Mr. Anthony for hydrogen fuel. Maybe yes, we are working with Stanford University, but Stanford University maybe per liters cost is $5. But definitely I have to reduce the cost and I have to go for less than $60. So who help us to innovate this kind of technology? They're gonna do the job.
All right. Thank you, Sharif. And Anthony, would you like to comment or ask any questions about any of Sharif's recent remarks?
Yeah, I just know that a couple times he's mentioned hydrogen technology, and this is definitely something he and I have discussed. So I'm trying to figure out, like, what are you looking to use hydrogen technology to bring electricity to, like, a smart city development? What kind of uses for hydrogen are you after?
See example, okay, if you see this Lakshmipur district, you can find it has river, right? So water is available for these communities. So if you run this transportation system of these communities, hydrogen energy will be good source of for these communities. Still we are searching for some good innovations. So very simple thing, those who help us to develop this innovation system, if you have your research paper, if you have even we are open for any kind of non-disclosure agreement, naturally it goes. So we have to manage the policy, we can do that. And if you have any kind of research work or anything, you can share with us, and my local scientist team, we will collaborate. And if we find the real solution for this specific district, we want to welcome you. If you want, definitely, you have your life and you have your time and everything. If you think it's a visible project, you can join and you can solve the problem of the Lakshmipur, like energy problem.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, I would love to talk further about that. I mean, I don't know if the rest of the team knows, but I just accepted a new position doing e-waste recycling. So the collection of CPUs from different, phones and computers, and then collecting the materials to produce precious metals to be resold for, other things like lithium ion batteries, or just the collection of precious metals in general. But I'm very much about a circular economy. I'm very much about, like, creating a system where things can be produced, stored, generated, and used for human purposes. So yes, I would definitely like to speak with you further about hydrogen technology. Of course, the two biggest issues with hydrogen fuel is storage and production, and being able to capture that and accurately make it flow in a certain way. Because, I mean, of course, hydrogen, it's the smallest atom on the entire periodic table. So it can be difficult to store, especially because, like, there's leakages involved, and then if there's a leak, then there's a potential for explosions. So there's a safety issue with that as well. But, like, these are things, like, I'm thinking in the back of my head about solutions for what you're suggesting.
In Bangladesh, if you focus, we have a lot of river, and I feel when I do the feasibility study, when I finish the feasibility study, it's a very big thing for Bangladesh. Healthcare, major challenges for Bangladesh. So, Mr. Gennady, from your Transhumanist Party, because we want to take action. Action is the key. I always say talent economy, Example, economy also important for the people for survive. Example, my countries cannot people cannot improve if they do not improve their economical things. So I can understand the pain of the grassroots level people. So innovations actually help a lot to improve both the economic and social life, and definitely good innovations. World Talent Economy Forum, and personally I only collaborate with the good people like you. Transhumanist Party's value is very important for me. Even when we discuss with our government, with our international teams, or with our local community, I always represent Transhumanist Party because of your values. Your values is important for us because of your leadership. Your leadership is very dynamic. The good things we have to share. So that is the way we want to team up. So if you have a better solutions, if you have a better innovations, if you want to change the communities and want to apply this community, maybe I don't know, maybe applying any things in USA is very difficult. Singapore, I know it's very difficult, but maybe applying good things in Bangladesh is easy. So maybe this is a very good opportunity, and we have populations, we have better economy, even though you are emerging economy, but we are improving. So hopefully, according to the Boston Consulting Group, Bangladesh economy will be around $1 trillion economy in 2030. So yeah, I think there is a good opportunity. We need good scientists, we need good policy, we need good friend who has who want to do the job properly. So we are open. Why I'm discussing it in the public? Because look, if Ichiya Nakamura with his B Lab do not support me, I cannot do nothing, right? So if Transhumanist Party do not support us, we may not do the good things. And another thing is that everybody want to avoid politics right now. They say, hey, politics has many bad people. So when the good people like you, they do not join, who gonna change the community? Who gonna change this world? Who gonna change my people life? So that is a very good opportunity for Transhumanist Party. I'm definitely open from my core of my heart because I am really impressed by all of your behaviors, activities, and contribution for the global community. Even yesterday, when we discussed with the parliament member, I share our Transhumanist Party leaders, each and every one profile, because your activities is important for me and for my people.
Thank you very much, Sharif. It is an honor to receive such high praise from you, and just the fact that we are being put forth as models of a constructive political organization. And certainly the world needs many more of those. Go ahead, Jason.
Yeah, you touching on something that I find kind of really interesting, about this idea of altruism and, how we don't really involve money, and so that keeps us sort of honest and everything. And, Tesla was like that. And there's similarities between the Tesla story and Edison. Tesla made all these inventions, but he never really tried to market them, and I can really relate to Tesla because it's like, I like when I'm making art and music or whatever, I just want to make the stuff, I'm not worried about, trying to monetize it or make money or whatever. I just want to make the stuff. And so I can relate to that. But yet, when you look at his story, I mean, that didn't work out that great for him because he made all this stuff, but yet then there was 100 years where a lot of it never made it to market, and then at the same time, you juxtapose him and Edison was kind of like not a cool guy, but he brought the stuff to market. So it makes me think you could be the best person in the world and just be, trying to do nothing but good things and make all this cool stuff. But if it never makes it to market and no one ever sees it, then, you know, did you really do anything? And then, who's the better or worse guy here? I mean, yeah, Edison might not be the greatest guy, but he was able to get that stuff to market. If we were to go back in time and get Edison and Tesla to get along, we might be living in a whole different world right now, you know. So it just makes me wonder, maybe sometimes just straight, pure, nothing but altruism ain't always the great thing, because, like I said, if it don't make it to market and no one sees it, then what's the point, you know? So what do you think about that, Sharif?
It's quite an interesting conversation, and I will add a bit to it before we ask Sharif to respond. So there is an article that I located in regard to Nikola Tesla's ideas for free electricity. This was written by Stephen Dark in The Fifth Estate. It was published in 2020, entitled Nikola Tesla Dreamed of Free Electricity, What Happened? And I would like to read a brief excerpt from this article. Tesla's long-held dream was to create a source of inexhaustible clean energy that was free for everyone. He strongly opposed centralized coal-fired power stations that spewed carbon dioxide into the air that humans breathed. He believed that the Earth had, quote, fluid electrical charges running beneath its surface, that when interrupted by a series of electrical discharges at repeated set intervals, would generate a limitless power supply by generating immense low-frequency electrical waves. One of Tesla's most extraordinary experiments was to transmit electrical power over long distances without wires or cables, a feat that has baffled scientists ever since. His grand vision was to free humankind from the burdens of extracting, pumping, transporting, and burning fossil fuels, which he viewed as, quote, sinful waste. And this is interesting because Tesla envisioned an alternative model for energy generation that did not involve the extraction of fossil fuels and that would be free. Now, I'm not a scientist myself, so I don't know what the feasibility of implementing that would be today. I would be curious if Anthony has any thoughts about that in particular, and then we'll go to Sharif for his comments on essentially what extent of marketing and or the profit motive could help technologies get implemented and disseminated. But Anthony, what do you think of Tesla's ideas in regard to free electricity?
So what you mentioned so there's a TV series on Hulu called Trust, and it's about the J. Paul Getty trust. And J. Paul Getty made a ton of money on petroleum. And here's the issue here, because there's a whole scene where Donald Sutherland is talking about to one of his grandsons, just look around you, look at everything, look at everything that petroleum produces, from the plastics to the rubber to the fuel that everything runs on. And these are things that are not, they're not renewable resources, but our world runs on them. And so this is the huge thing that we're up against, is the petroleum industry, everything that is made from those products. Yes, free energy is possible. Yes, hydrogen technology is a thing that can compete with the fossil fuel industry. But as somebody who comes from the fossil fuel industry, I spent 6 years at Chevron. I'm aware of what we're up against, because coal and petroleum have built our entire everything that this world runs on. So that's the more political and economic problem here, is that we have an entire civilization built on this technology.
Thank you, Anthony. And now let us hear Sharif's thoughts on this issue and also the dilemma that Jason raised, that somebody like Nikola Tesla was not able ultimately to get these technological visions to be implemented, whereas somebody like Edison was able to implement a more limited kind of technological vision. That is, it's not a vision of superabundance for everybody. Electricity under Edison's model is more expensive than electricity under Tesla's model, but it was able to be disseminated to a lot of the world. Of course, we still pay large amounts of money for electricity in the United States, and to some extent that is true in other countries as well, including, I would imagine, in Bangladesh, and it could be a lot cheaper than it is. So what are your thoughts on this, Sharif?
Yes, this is very good discussion, specifically when we discuss about free electricity. Things is that someone has to pay if I introduce free electricity. We take Tesla as an inspiration, even though I think me, Sharif, one, two, three, four, five speakers. I'm sure everybody has a good intentions, because if we see Transhumanist Party, no need to pay anything. Join and it's free. World Talent Economy Forum, like open source boot, join and it's free. This is our basic norms and values of everyone who discuss today's sessions or join today's sessions. Even though if you see this Nikola Tesla, you know that I had to do a lot of struggle in Malaysia. In reality, I lost everything that time, everything. But again, I started my journey from scratch. And honest thing is that in my countries, many people from outside only come here to make money. But I convince European Innovation Alliance and invest in our conference, because my people cannot pay this amount of money, this and that, lot of discussion, lot of hurdle. Then I make it successful after my failure in Malaysia. So I believe that I prove enough that I have only good intentions to execute the good idea of Nikola Tesla. Then question is about large corporation also operating in Bangladesh. We also have, like, we need to make them friends. They are also part of this ecosystem and they are big. Example, we are bringing Bikash because is one of the largest mobile money transferring company. But I know that they have very good CSR ability. They can help more people. So we need more corporations and more organizations who can help me. Let's say European Union help me to contribute for my community through this conference. So even though when we discuss about the free electricity, we have to identify who gonna pay or who gonna help these projects, who gonna, and this is very difficult job. I'm very realistic man. I do a lot of hard work. I think every day around 20 to 22 hours. 20 to 22 hours I have to do a lot of hard work. Otherwise, I cannot explain these things to all of our audience. It's very hard work. Trust me, it's very hard work. Very difficult. Discussing in this forum is very easy. But when you go to the real life, taking action, convincing people, be entrepreneurs, work for the people, introducing these things, very hard, very hard. So I want to welcome any good idea, and we have to be realistic that how we can implement the idea. Yes, if there is a company like Bikash or European unions or our government agency happy to support these communities through this process, we have to welcome the idea and everything. Money is not everything for me. Even though how I'm doing work, I told you, still I do not have big house, I do not have expensive car, I do not have big amount of money. Trust me, you can see I live a very simple life, but I have a big vision. Like my father, I want to protect my people. I want to help my people. Why I choose this Lakshmipur Noakhali, this reason? Because my grandfather born there. Okay, and I'm happy how the local entrepreneurs and the local communities, they understand my dream. I think my dream and Transhumanist Party dream is the same. So you also have the good intention and the good ability. So maybe you have more ability than me. So help my community, invest in my community for their growth. Definitely you will be part of the story. That is the very basic things I learned from Nikola Tesla life. Money definitely important, not, but this is not everything. If I only focus on this monetization issues like Edison, I cannot do these things. Trust me, it's very hard. You need lot of passions. I have lot of failure. Many people actually create lot of barrier for me. It's unbelievable. In my position, if anybody come, because I can get a very good job in other country, I can get a very good life in other country. It's not difficult. I can get a good citizenship right away, no problem at all. But doing work for the people need lot of sacrifice. What Tesla did, I am focusing on that particular area, and I prove it. I think last 3 years, at least with my relationship, I prove it that I have basic values to change my community. So that is the things I'm working. But good thing is that there are a lot of good people, good corporations, good community around the world. So I want to collaborate with them.
Yes. Thank you very much, Sharif. And it seems that you have drawn a lot of inspiration from the life and example of Nikola Tesla, and you're certainly applying the best of his example to your own work. And as you point out, even endeavors where the outcome is a free product or service for somebody, they still involve a significant amount of investment, be that in the form of time or money or other resources. And the people who engage in that kind of investment, if they don't directly earn an income from it, they need to support themselves in some other way. Indeed, the history of a lot of scientific advances has been that of essentially gentlemen scientists. If you look at, for instance, the history of the Royal Society in England, which was founded in the 17th century, a lot of these individuals were, let's say, people of independent means who had some time on their hands, and they engaged in correspondence and scientific exploration and experimentation, and they developed a culture of sharing knowledge without needing to sell it or monetize it because they didn't need an income from that. So that's one way. But of course, an important complement of that would be how to empower people who don't have that level of means to be able to do the same thing, to be able to contribute to the growth in humankind's knowledge, to be able to contribute ideas for technological innovations, for governance innovations. And that is what we try to do with the Transhumanist Party, because we lower the barriers to entry as much as possible. As you pointed out, Sharif, that is why all of our events are free. That is why we do not charge a fee to be a member of the Transhumanist Party. That is why we create a lot of free content and share it with the world, because we want to give as many people as possible the means to contribute and not feel like they have to sacrifice something in order to be involved. So thank you for that, Sharif. And now, as our time is approaching a close, I would like to invite some final comments from each of our panelists, and then, Sharif, we will let you have the last word. So, Anthony, would you like to make a closing statement?
Yeah, I would. I went on a date with somebody a couple years back who said altruism is dead. And I think about that a lot, because how do we get anything done without money? Like, even the Transhumanist Party, how do we compete with the DNC and the GOP if we don't have money to do it? And it's unfortunate. It's an unfortunate factor of our society. And like, as somebody who understands that the technology is out there, it's available, we can use it, but how do we do it without money? Like, that's my biggest question, and I'm still fighting that one, because this is our society. This is like an unfortunate factor of the world that we live in. And so I'm going to use that as a statement, because I mean, it's wonderful. It's rose-colored glasses kind of thinking, I think, to be like, okay, yeah, like let's give everybody free electricity, free energy, free everything. But somebody wants to profit off of it. So how do we reconcile?
Yes. Thank you, Anthony. And I definitely see this as an important set of questions to ponder and perhaps explore in subsequent sessions as well. I think part of it is, of course, some people are going to profit from technological advances. This has been happening throughout history. But the end goal should be, as has become the case with various technologies, to make the technology as affordable as possible. And in some cases, that will mean the technology will essentially be free, like email, for instance, or, well, drinking water. So, of course, some people choose to purchase bottled water, but you don't have to these days, at least in Western countries. The water supply is often sufficiently clean that most people can just drink their water from water fountains. And that required a lot of infrastructure. You couldn't have that in the state of nature, just like you couldn't have email in the state of nature. So some people somewhere along the way had to put in a lot of money and time and effort to making that happen. But the end result is essentially at least partial superabundance in those kinds of goods and services. Or say the ability to listen to music online. Yes, you need an internet connection, but you can find a lot of great music for free, legally too, which was not always the case. So I think there is a lot of potential for this kind of innovation and this kind of superabundance, but it requires a pathway to get from here to there, and certainly the development of a lot of infrastructure, and people need to be motivated and in many cases suitably rewarded to develop that kind of infrastructure.
It requires investment anywhere. No matter what, it requires investment, and like it would be great. It would be like an ideal world because as a scientist, I've been in a position of not being able to even take care of my basic needs, despite my skills, despite my efforts. And now I'm in a position where, I'm being suitably rewarded for them because I can make somebody else money. But the only reason why is because there has been a suitable investment. And so like that's always what it comes down to is suitable investment. Like somebody's got to invest significant time, effort, and money to make these things happen. And that's, I think, a factor of society in general, no matter where you look in history.
Yes. And that is definitely the case. Somebody at some point needs to make that kind of investment. All right. Thank you, Anthony. And now let's go to Art Ramon for his closing statement.
Yeah, I'm looking at an article here on the internet, and it's talking about a highway project there in Bangladesh. And the funder of this was a Beijing-based Asian infrastructure investment bank. So it definitely takes investment to make things happen. And, if you want to create affordable housing, you don't want to create shoddy housing that's going to fall down when there's an earthquake. So it requires good investment. If you can create this kind of pilot village, I think you would have to sell it to get that money back so you can make another one. So, you create a pilot village and then you have to sell it to someone who has the means to pay for it. And then with that, revenue you get from there, you fund the next one. So, and that investment's going to have to come from somewhere originally, and that's definitely a challenge. And there's got to be plenty of corporations there in Bangladesh that want to see Bangladesh, move up. It's a growing economy, and I think sometimes you have to go local rather than going outside, because otherwise, it's going to be Chinese investment, and they're not necessarily always concerned with Bangladesh moving up. They just want a profit. So, getting that grassroots funding from corporations that are in Bangladesh, no matter how small they are, I think would be a start. I know it's difficult because everyone is not at a peak profit, and making means barely getting by. But sometimes I think looking inward is an avenue that just isn't pursued in certain developing countries.
Yes, thank you, Art Ramon. Those are all valid observations. And now let us go to Jason for his final comments.
Yeah, so I guess that makes us pretty rare as far as political parties go, not using money. I guess that puts us at crazy disadvantage too, though. I guess we'll figure it out.
We will figure it out, and
Yeah.
there is some short-term disadvantage. I wonder, though, if it might be outweighed by the long-term benefit of outsized intellectual and cultural influence, because that comes with integrity. And our stance isn't completely opposed to money. It does, however, want to avoid this pervasive monetization of politics that has taken place, where political organizations have ceased to be about principles and have essentially become all about attracting campaign contributions. And the tactics used in attracting campaign contributions are to try to appeal to the worst motives in people. So instead of their desire to see solutions, the political consultants, the fundraisers, the politicians themselves, they appeal to perpetuating the problems, because people's outrage about problems could get them to contribute funds perhaps more reliably than if those problems were solved. Imagine if every single wedge issue in American politics were solved. Now, that would be a dream for me. I would be jubilant if that were to happen. If every single controversy, say about gun control or about abortion, just went away because some sort of sustainable solution were found that actually made everybody happy, that would be a wonderful outcome, but not for the Republican Party or the Democratic Party, because they would lose these wedge issues that they could divide the population over and rally certain people to their cause. So the Transhumanist Party wants a world where those problems are no more. And that is the kind of outlook that we need to keep, however we structure our operations going forward. So, Sharif, we have about 2 minutes remaining in our Virtual Enlightenment Salon. I would like to invite you to give us your last word about the discussion today.
I want to give thanks to all of our audience for today's session, especially Transhumanist parties and those who joined today's session. And I want to give very, very special thanks to share my views and activities to your communities. In between 2 minutes, I want to share few things. Number one, money is important, but it's not everything. I learned from my life. When I come back to Bangladesh, I do not have nothing. Trust me, I lost everything. I lost everything. I did not have nothing, any single cents in my pocket. But how I did it? Because of the grassroots level people love. Because of my intention. The Western world, they do more believe on knowledge. We do believe on spiritual knowledge as well. So when you have the spiritual knowledge and the knowledge, as well as you have a good intentions to help your community, to help your people, the big corporation never helped me. Big foundation never helped me. Big people never help me. I get help from small political party of Transhumanist Party. I get help all of my small people, all of my grassroots level people. 500 entrepreneurs come to my umbrella and say, we will help you. We will support your projects. So when you have a good intentions, when you have a positive intentions, we believe in Allah. Allah gonna help you, or God gonna help you and support you, and your people can understand you. That is the very small strategy I have. I have positive things, I have positive intentions, and I do not have any single expectation, not a money, not power, not anything from my people. I just love to do work. That is my objective. Thank you, Transhumanist Party, for supporting World Talent Economy Forum and supporting me. Thank you. Bye-bye and take care.
Yes. Thank you very much, Sharif, for those inspiring words. And we're honored to be able to converse with you and share ideas and collaborate. I encourage everyone to look into the Advances in Nikola Tesla Technologies in the 21st Century Conference in Dhaka, Bangladesh, also with virtual attendance available on July 17th through the 18th of 2023. Remember that you may be eligible to attend for free. So thank you very much to our U.S. Transhumanist Party officers. Thank you to our viewers. And I hope that we all live long and prosper.